We just moved into a new apartment, again, and it's got me thinking about home layouts and just how easy they are to get wrong. And so in this video, I want to share with you some of my architectural expertise in walking you through some of the most common home layout mistakes, and the often simple and cost-effective solutions that can completely transform the way that your home feels to live in.
Now, showing you around this apartment is one thing, but moving in here with family is another. The floors had years of dirt build-up, which even after a full mop still didn't clean, and in the ensuing chaos of moving in with our busy family, the mess is guaranteed to just keep on coming. This is why I was genuinely excited when Narwal reached out to sponsor today's video, because they sent me their brand new award-winning Narwal Freo Z10 Ultra. A robot vacuum and mop that actually feels like it was designed with real homes like ours in mind. Narwal is a company that have been pushing robot cleaning tech forward for years, with innovations like Edge Reach and their Zero Tangle system earning them CES Innovation Awards and even a spot on Time's Best Inventions list. The Freo Z10 Ultra is their latest flagship, and it's built for smarter, deeper cleaning that benefits both your time and your home. One of the biggest frustrations that I've had with other robot vacuums that I've used in the past is remembering to clear their path every time they're scheduled, before they end up in a tangled mess. But the Freo Z10 Ultra uses twin AI chips and real-time 3D mapping to intelligently detect and work around over 200 different household objects, all the way down to 5mm in height mid-clean. On top of its 18,000 Pascal vacuum, what really sets itself apart is that the Freo Z10 Ultra has an extendable mop and a movement called edge swing. So it not only tucks out of the way of things like carpets and rugs whilst vacuuming, but its triangular heads can also extend outwards and into hard to reach spaces, like underneath doors and furniture and deep into corners. And if it hits a particularly stubborn stain, it scrubs the area with up to 8 newtons of downward pressure multiple times until it's clean. But with all this power on hand, its adaptive cleaning also means it doesn't simply treat every mess the same. If you spill something wet, the mop handles it while the brushes stay dry. Encounter dry crumbs, it automatically lifts the mop and increases suction thanks to its built-in particle sensor. And finally, when it's done cleaning, the self-emptying base compresses dust to maximize the time between bag changes, while the mop heads and brushes are both cleaned and dried, so you're not left to deal with the messy part afterwards. On top of this, with noise levels as low as 53 decibels, it's quiet enough to run while you're on a call, and the zero tangle brushes mean you're not left pulling out your partner's hair every week. And so for single level apartments like ours, the Narwal Freo Z10 Ultra is honestly a bit like having a cleaner on call, except without the ongoing costs, which keeps our place feeling fresh day after day. And so to learn more about Narwal and their Freo Z10 Ultra, be sure to check out the link down in the description, and a huge thanks to Narwal for not only sponsoring today's video, but keeping my home clean way into the foreseeable future too. Okay, so this is the floor plan of our apartment, and what I really love about this compared to our last one is that you enter through this little entryway nook with a closet that's immediately opposite you, instead of just walking straight into the living space, which helps to kind of separate some of the entryway's chaos and energy. As you move into this primary area of the home, we've got these big corner windows which are behind me, which were a huge selling point for us in choosing an apartment over a townhome, as the extra natural light coming in through windows like these make a huge difference to your overall mood levels and well-being. This space wraps around to this bright and airy kitchen, which has this enormous island that I'm sitting at in a significantly larger and brighter space compared to what we had at our old place, despite it actually costing less to live here. However, the positives of a layout like this can also happen to be their biggest weaknesses. The problem with lots of windows is that there are fewer walls, leaving only one wall that's available in this apartment to place furniture against. Now, the most obvious place for a TV is right here, as you can mount it to the wall itself or place it on a console without it blocking a window or leaving its ugly rear end exposed with all of its wires. Now, fortunately, we already have our 2.5 seat sofa from when we first moved here from the UK to Canada, which just about fits opposite this wall. And so this leaves the remaining space for the dining table to be placed conveniently here next to the kitchen, which is right where you'd expect it. However, this means that the only space that's left for additional seating either awkwardly blocks the way to the balcony door or places its back to the primary circulation route and the main entrance, with all of its movement and energy, which isn't ideal. Now, this is exactly how this apartment's layout was advertised and staged, and it's exactly how most people would set up a room like this. Because for convenience, you generally want to keep the distance between the kitchen and the dining table to a minimum, and you probably don't want your TV randomly sitting in the middle of the room or blocking any of the windows. But despite this being a choice that's slightly less obvious, by flipping the layout and placing the living area adjacent to the kitchen, it drastically improves it. And that's because instead of forcing your TV onto a wall, it allows space for additional seating that doesn't require any circulation around it, which opens up the option for a larger piece down the line while also establishing new sight lines and a social connection between the sofa and the kitchen, instead of the living area having its back turned against the rest of the room, which is especially important in our home as the kitchen is inevitably the place that everyone ends up congregating in. But what makes this decision work even better is the fact that in our last couple of apartments, we didn't choose to buy a bulky TV, and instead we chose the flexibility of an ultra short throw projector, knowing just how handy this may come in down the line. And it's exactly in a space like this where it showcases its superpower, as when paired with a retractable screen, it's completely hidden when not in use, but immediately available when we need it, which completely opens up the view to the outside instead of blocking it for the 99% of the time that it's not on. And together we can enjoy a 100-inch cinema experience while making sure that our living room is the social heart of the home, by ensuring that it enjoys both the brightest area of the apartment at its corner and placing it in between the kitchen and the dining area. And as you can see, this drastically changes the character of this entire apartment by not having our living area tucked away facing a TV with its back turned to everything else that's going on. Now, some people may want this for their living room in order for it to function a bit more like a dedicated TV room. However, this is not what an open plan living area wants to do naturally. So by embracing its layout instead of defaulting to what you may be most used to, such as having your TV against a wall, you can then play to your home's strengths, which can allow it to reach its full potential. And in doing this now leaves our blank wall to facilitate our shelving unit, and this adds a mountain of character, functionality, and visual interest to a space that would otherwise be quite plain. And this area becomes the perfect location for a dining table in order to maintain easy access to the balcony, as a dining table is a piece that requires circulation around it in order to function. And it makes the more formal pieces the first thing you see when you enter the home, instead of the more intimate and cozy setting of a living area, which more appropriately balances and tempers the flow of energy throughout the space. And this just goes to show how playing to the strengths of a layout plays such a crucial role in how comfortable and luxurious it ends up feeling. Another benefit, or quirk, depending on how you look at it, is that this apartment has an enormous 10-foot kitchen island. Now, in our last couple of homes, these have been much smaller, at around half the size, which is something that I actually prefer. As, without trying to sound ungrateful, in apartments and smaller homes, having no island at all is actually the most optimal choice, as it frees up so much space around you to furnish the interior with items and furniture pieces that best suit the life that you actually live, and therefore providing you the option to put a freestanding island there if you want one. Now, for the smaller islands in the smaller kitchens that we've been used to, we had these beautiful oak and leather stools from Article, which worked great because their shallow profile makes them perfect for tight spaces, like the entryway of our last apartment and the tininess of the one that we had before that. And this is because they neatly tuck fully out of the way until you actually need to use them. But because this new island is so obnoxiously big, we'd have to buy 3 more of these stools just to fill it out. So although my first instinct was to simply buy more of what we already have, we instead found this set of 4 counter stools from Wayfair at a great price, which are both wider and more comfortable for longer sitting. And because their size fills out this island so well, we actually need 1 less, making it not only cheaper overall, but more comfortable too because they have upholstered backs. Meaning that now we're in this new apartment with this new layout, the island can be increasingly utilized as another attractive place to work at for extended periods, or one that we're simply more inclined to eat at for informal meals. And this added comfort actually provides us with more functionality that simply wouldn't be utilized should we have allowed my sunk cost bias or my aesthetic preference for the other stools to sink in. And instead, by focusing in on the functionality of an apartment's strongest features that you can't change, instead of simply undervaluing them, this can massively contribute to what feels like a more usable and inviting space overall. And I think the reason that people will often tend to make this mistake is because we can frequently have the tendency to divert our attention and budget to the areas that naturally excite us, rather than the ones that challenge us. And my point is that sometimes something that may have been seen as a quirk or inconvenience can actually turn out to be a home's most appealing feature, instead of simply just an oversight. Another quirk that makes this apartment quite unique is that it's a double corner unit, as even our master bedroom now gets corner windows, which is amazing. It's still quite hard for me to believe that we're actually paying less for this place compared to our old one, but again, without trying to sound ungrateful, bedrooms with floor-to-ceiling corner windows don't do you many favours when it comes to sleeping. Now, you probably already know that for optimal sleep you need 2 things: silence, which is helped for us by a white noise machine, and complete darkness, which usually requires fully sealed blackout blinds or floor-to-ceiling blackout curtains. And something that's interesting about the latter is that they have the added benefit of providing your home with better thermal efficiency and acoustics through their ability to absorb sound waves and insulate against solar gain during the summer months, as well as thermal losses through the windows during the colder months. Now, we found that most apartments with floor-to-ceiling corner windows come pre-equipped with these translucent roller blinds, which makes complete darkness an absolute nightmare to achieve because there's simply no wall to anchor a tension rod or curtain hook to at its corner. And then, because the ceiling is a concrete slab, it would require drilling into it with a heavy-duty hammer drill, which is both risky and not allowed as part of our rental agreement. Or alternatively, it would require using an adhesive track that tends to rip off the ceiling finish upon removal, which is something that I can't do in our place anyway because of the ceiling's textured finish, and it's something that I definitely wouldn't want to deal with down the line regardless. Now, for the longest time, this has felt like an impossible situation to me when speaking to other renters about this particular problem. And I can see that this was an issue for the previous tenants too, who left me with these not very usable adhesive hooks that don't allow you to fully draw a curtain across while stressing the roller blind housing. And if you've ever tried removing nanotape, you'll already know that these are going to be an absolute nightmare to peel off. However, I am glad to say that this whole corner unit curtain issue was only a problem up until my recent rediscovery of room divider kits, which essentially apply the same principle of curtain tension rods but to the floors and the ceilings, by establishing posts that simply lock into place using pressure in order to create points away from the wall to which curtain rods can be hung from. Now, these aren't that pretty, and they're more aimed at studio apartments instead of just regular windows, by allowing you to visually section off a sleeping area from the rest of a room. However, I would argue that they're equally as applicable for long curtain spans and corner windows in rental apartments, where you can't always fix things to the ceilings or walls. And when you use them this way, the curtains can actually hide these poles against the wall so that they're mostly invisible. And across longer window spans, like our ones, it can provide an additional fixing point for the curtain rod in order to eliminate some of the sagging that can happen under the weight of heavy blackout curtains. But quickly, as an important caveat, I have to strongly discourage installing floor-to-ceiling curtains like these over electric baseboard heaters like ours, as this does pose a very real fire risk. And in our home, we've only done this because we've taken measures to ensure that these are never turned on. And this is because, mostly due to the thermal efficiency of concrete frame buildings and our temperate climate here in BC, to me, the aesthetic and functionality of full-length curtains in blocking both light, thermal loss, and noise, they far outweigh the pros of using electric heaters that are optimally placed under the windows. And honestly, it's my belief that most apartments would be far better off if they were first designed with forced air or underfloor heating, as well as a small space or panel above the windows to which you can mount curtains behind, even if you don't end up deciding to install them. Now, regarding our bed placement, I'm not superstitious and I'm not into feng shui, but one thing I can agree on is that this bed placement is terrible. And this is because the only wall that's wide enough for it to be placed against leaves the door right behind our heads, as well as the passageway to the bathroom being directly adjacent to them. In feng shui, there's this idea of energy or qi that flows through space, that in architectural terms can be mostly boiled down to this idea of circulation and sightlines, often coming in through passageways, windows, and doors. Now, one solution might be to simply buy a smaller queen-size bed and tuck it against the other wall, but this only eliminates its exposure to the passageway from the bathroom, as your heads are still directly in line with the entryway door. Ideally, what we want to do is rotate the bed to what's called the command position, which is the position that gives you the psychological control of a room by bringing everything into your line of sight so you can easily see the entryways and exits without being directly in line with them. And what this does is give you the sensation of security, and therefore this kind of bed placement makes it a much more restful place to sleep in. But the problem is that movement and sightlines also come from the windows, which really leaves this bed with nowhere to go. However, thanks to the use of room dividers and blackout curtains, this creates an opaque partition that visually blocks this in order to place the bed exactly where we want it, which then provides us with the space to relocate our dressers that were hidden in our last apartment's closet for both additional storage and a potential dressing area for my wife, which is an ideal use of the natural light that's available in this room. And so, as a final takeaway from this video, at the end of the day, despite how good an apartment may be, every layout will have its compromises, whether that's too few walls or too few windows, or simply an awkward layout with existing furniture that won't quite fit. But across all of these problems, the trick of good design isn't simply throwing loads of money at the problem, it's reframing these constraints so that they become celebrated and intentional, which is something that you can do by figuring out how to efficiently use what furniture you have available or what new items you can purchase that are within the constraints of your budget. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, it would mean a great deal to me if I earned your subscription, or if you shared it with someone you know who's dealing with these exact problems. And if you've made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching, and maybe check out this next video too.